But how achievable is all of this? Because don't forget the global scenario that we're presently dealing with, and so there's so many other challenges on that we're facing, and then we still have to deal with this one.
Okay, we have funds that have been set aside. For example, the one that has been spent on this graduate internship scheme. It's a fund. Now, put it this way. I mean, it's a great thing. They said, okay, go to an employer, which is the stakeholders, get trained for 1 year. We'll pay you a stipend of 30,000 naira every single month. They should do more than that. They should improvise. I mean, not just going to an employer. Who is even monitoring those people that go to employers to go and work for 1 year? And they pay them 30,000 naira every month. You could channel that money as well into other training, into other activities. The money is there. But it's just to have a mechanism in place to be able to turn that money into more useful purpose than just paying somebody every month without even monitoring those people.
But then after the 1 year internship, then what do? You're led back into the world of unemployed, and then you still want to, you're not thinking about starting a business of your own and employing other people, but you want to be an employee, not an employer.
Ideally, when you go into that scheme, the employer that takes you on is supposed to grow you, mentor you, manage you, and get you the skill that you need to become employable after the 1 year program. So two things happen in there. Now, if you're good, you're productive, you're loyal, you're dedicated, and you're good to that employer, at the end of your 1 year program, they might retain you and say, right, you've been good to us. You know what we do, you've been part of us. Be part. That creates automatic employment. Now, the other ones, if you learn, if they don't have the space to employ you, you could go to somewhere else. And on my resume, I've worked here for 1 year. Nobody's going to ask you if it's an internship or something. I have an experience for 1 year. Now, again, you could use that. You say, when you go to an employer, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to do a white-collar job. An employer, it could be a farmer, it could be a carpenter, it could be whatsoever. So you could become self-employed as well. But ideally, or the reason why you go into that scheme is to gain technical experience or whatsoever you want to do.
So why is it, and I'm very glad you mentioned it, I was just waiting, why is it that we have more people tending towards white-collar or blue-collar jobs rather than the green-collar jobs, namely in agriculture or in other sectors of agriculture in the value chain that desperately needs people, to bring in their skill set that you've learned from an employer over 1 year?
Yeah, I think that will begin to change now, and I'll tell you why it's going to be changing. The reason why most people don't want to do white-collar job is, if you go train as a carpenter, as a plumber, as a tiler, whatever, there is no power to sustain you to carry out those activities. If someone gives you a contract, you can't do it because there's no power to do it. And if you run on generators and diesel, you might end up losing out as well. But now that we're beginning to have a total change in the power sector, whereby I can tell you categorically now I can boast of about 18 hours uninterrupted power supply. Now, people will begin to have a different mindset. I said, all right, if I go train as a welder, as a plumber, I'm guaranteed that if I have a business, I will have power to carry out my business. So that will begin to change. Now, which is one of the kudos to this administration. It's a great thing because power is the lifeline of an economy, especially this economy. And now that it's changing, we begin to see changes in those sectors as well.
Let's talk a little bit more about agriculture, because we're talking about diversifying the economy. And I mentioned the fact that all of these ideas you talked about, whether they're achievable in the present scenario that we're in, where we're having challenges with regards oil revenue, if you like to put it that way. And the government has been talking about diversifying the economy, moving away to agriculture, facing agriculture as a business, like the former Minister of Agriculture talked about, agribusiness. But we're not seeing so many not so much interest, especially from the population of between 15 and 64 in that sector.
It's a generational problem. The people that were born in the last 30 years to date doesn't understand anything about agriculture, right? So, but the people the older ones who understand what agriculture is, the profit in there, the benefit, the advantages, those are the ones that are actually going in there. Maybe few now are beginning to go into it. Now, with the new government initiative, state government initiative, the federal government initiative, now people are beginning to have interest going into agriculture. Look, if we focus on agriculture, honestly, we will forget about oil. Now, but what we need to do to make that agricultural industry more sustainable, let's have good roads. Most of the things that we produce are perishable goods. If you don't have good roads to move them from the farm to the market on the good roads, then you will discourage people, because once all those people have been perished or been spoiled or damaged before they get to the final consumer, then you would discourage people. But when you have good rules, good mechanism, storage system, and what's it called, government inspectors and agricultural inspectors that actually advises you, tell you what to do, then you begin to see a total people showing interest in going into that sector, which is quite more beneficial and sustainable to this economy than the oil sector.
Okay, so we have this tweet from Atik Bems. He says, create synergies between industry and educational institutions. Basically, what you were talking about,
yeah.
Yes, having more of technical colleges,
yeah.
if you like. So that will be in line with what the president is talking about with regards creating the 3 million jobs. But a lot of Nigerians are actually looking forward and waiting to see how that will happen.
If I might just say last word, I mean, as part of my advocacy, which I've been doing kind of for the past 5 years, I'm advising the government to actually, if they can, institutionalize voluntary work scheme. You can't force people to do it, but let it be there. It's parental responsibility as well, government responsibility, but the awareness got to be there. When people understand the benefit of doing it, then obviously it helps in the long run, because you won't begin to have people with all these graduates coming out without having the skills to work. This will be, it's not the past. So I'm advising the government to please look into that.
All right. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming on the program and sharing your thoughts with us.